Okay. Good evening. I'm calling the school committee meeting from April 4th to order. I'm going to run through the agenda quickly and then we're going to jump right in. So we're going to start with any public comment. We have members of the public, so you're of course welcome to make comments. Rules for that are like 2 minutes, give or take. Tell us your name, approximately where you live, and what you're concerned about, as the case may be. We then have consent agenda that we'll go through, and reports. We don't have a student with us today, but we'll go through our other standard reports and liaison updates. We'll then move into the main business of the meeting, and we'll start with our Friends of Reading METCO discussion. We'll move on to the State of Reading METCO program, Mr. Martin. Except I forgot something very important. After public comment, we have a focus on excellence, and Mr. Martin's going to walk us through a spotlight of the class of the 2024 Boston resident students. So we're excited to hear that and see that. Back to our new business, we will have a Reading Children's Cabinet discussion. And in particular, we're looking to gather feedback on resources to enable success. I know there's a lot that the METCO program themselves do, but we wanted to open up this kind of a bigger conversation as well. After that, we'll move on to the high school scheduling pilot update. And Ms. Callahan will join us on the Zoom for that. We have a Math Pathways update with Dr. Hardy. The FY25 kindergarten enrollment update that we'll go through. We will then do some reviews and approves of certain things, in particular the last day of school, which was a little sketchy going into last night. we now are pretty confident about what we're doing. We have some joint labor management committees that the school committee will be appointing liaisons to as we finish some negotiations with some of our unions. And then we have old business, which is to review strategic fees that we have, in particular for athletics and facilities rental, which is two of the last of the 5 that we've done so far. I think it's the last 2, but Derek and Tom can correct me. And at that point, we adjourn. So we've got a pretty packed agenda, but we'll keep ourselves moving. So first things first, any members of the public, either on Zoom or here in the meeting, that would like to make public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Mr. Martin, you want to start us with the focus on excellence?
Sure, thank you. Thanks everyone for coming here tonight. Thanks to the school committee and everyone's commitment to making this possible and continuing to come to Boston so that our Boston families can feel part of the school committee process. So I thank that everyone for their commitment to continue doing this. For our student commitment shout out today, I definitely want to start with shouting out our seniors. We've had 8 seniors who were Boston resident students that I've had the pleasure of getting to know for the last 3 years. 6 out of the 8 seniors have been here since kindergarten and 1st grade. So they've really been here for a long time. They're excited to finally be done with school and move on.
They're not done yet.
And then move on to their next journeys. So we have Jameer Celestine, Zadani Lopes, Nakeem Singleton, who started last year as a junior, Samaje Pete, Juliana Martin, Jeremiah Lewis, Rayvon Ryland, who also started last year, and Damanye Darcher. It's really been a pleasure to get to know these young men and women. They're really just great, funny people. I learned a lot from them. They talked to me a lot about what could be done better, what support they need, they spoke a lot about what the outcomes for our elementary students and just making sure things were smooth for them and wanting to be there for them and continue. And they spoke highly about coming back and trying to give back to the Reading Public Schools, the METCO program, and just really enjoyed finally being here as seniors. I sent them with a task because we wanted to think, everyone's doing different things to try to get them there. But I sent them with a task to do a video to record themselves, just to record themselves, introduce themselves when they started, what's one of the highlights of their experience and their time being here, what's something that they enjoyed that was new, and what's some of the things they want us to continue to do just to make everyone to be experienced. I would like to share that video with everybody. Yes, that one to the left. Oh, I'm sorry, you see the bottom right there?
Yeah.
My name is Audrey. I've been attending METCO since second grade. After high school, I'm going to be attending Oakland Community College, but also pursuing my dream of content creation. One thing I liked about the METCO experience was getting to meet a bunch of different people from Boston and Reading I wouldn't have got to meet otherwise. One thing that I want to make sure Reading METCO continues to do is continue to have good buses for the kids at all levels, because I definitely think that getting kids to be able to participate in things outside of school, like going to a friend's house that they live in Reading and having a friend in Reading that comes to Boston really bridges the gap between Boston and Reading that already exists. And I think that breaking down that gap is definitely one of the biggest objectives and things that would improve my experience. One thing I want Reading METCO to do to make student experiences better is definitely events like the apple picking and the kite festival, bringing both communities together and bringing that divide of Reading life and Boston life that I had when I was attending Reading METCO. And I think doing that will help bridge students have kids have the experience less code switching and feel like they have two different lives when they're in METCO. And lastly, I would just like to thank all my Reading METCO directors, guidance counselors, and teachers for pushing me and helping me along the way, and went above and beyond to make sure that I feel comfortable in my learning experience.
Hi, I'm Samaje, and I've been going to Reading Public Schools since I was 6 years old. I plan on going to get my license for makeup once I graduate, then after that going to college for culinary arts. One thing that I liked about my METCO experience in particular is that the teachers care so much and they want to see me reach my fullest potential. And me personally, I just feel like they actually believe in me and that they're being completely genuine. I'd like for Reading Public Schools and METCO to continue the coordinators in all the schools, including the high school. Something that I think that could make experiences even better is just continuing to push and encourage the future students, and even just like a check-in and asking how they're doing. And I would just like to thank my guidance counselor, Mr. Kennedy, Miss Malley, and an assistant principal at RMHS, Miss Buckley, for just helping my high school career go a little bit smoother.
Hi, my name is Jeremiah Lewis. I started attending the METCO program when I was in second grade. I'm thinking about going to college after school. My top choices are UMass Boston and Suffolk University. Like the late bus and what other things that Mr. Martin's provide for us. I feel like they're a great addition to like the METCO program because it allows kids to go to sports and stay after school for like work and stuff that they wouldn't be able to do usually, and it provides a safe way for that. And for the I feel like if I had a METCO director or a METCO coordinator in elementary school, I feel like I would have had a better experience because I feel like the previous METCO directors were only here for behavioral issues with kids that were attending the METCO program. But like with Martin, I feel like the opportunities that we get are multiplied. Starting with like Atlanta, like going there for free, college prep, that helped me a lot. And cash prep and just so many other things.
Hi, my name is Fiona Martin, and I'm in grade 12. I've been attending Reading ever since kindergarten. And my plans after high school was to go to college out of state in Atlanta. And one thing I liked about my Reading METCO experience is just meeting new people, finding people just like me, and just experiencing this whole thing. One thing I would like to make sure that METCO public schools continue to do is having great buses that give students the opportunity to get work done for tutoring. Also, I recommend HBCU tours that give juniors and juniors and sophomores the idea of what they would like to do for college and that insight. One thing I would also like for them to continue is the METCO coordinators, rules, and the conference meetings that we have. Mr. Martin Christopher
Hi, I'm Chris Hudson, and I am currently a 12th grade senior doing my internship at JE, Joshua Elementary School. That's the school I went to. So I started back at first grade. I really enjoyed the inclusiveness within the community. I enjoyed making friends with white people, black people, people of multiple races, no matter whatever the kids may have been. I still have friends from elementary school that I still talk to now in high school, which was also really good. They create special bonds. I can definitely say that. One thing that I do think Reading should continue doing is continuing to fund late buses and HBCU trips and stuff like that, just to get more awareness with college. I know definitely if I had went on that HBCU trip, it would benefit me in so many ways. Bring it all around like a full circle. I think that it is definitely a great idea, or it was a great idea, to incorporate multiple METCO coordinators. I know for me, it provides me a sense of comfort knowing that there is an office where there's a black leader in a room, and I know that it creates a better environment for everybody, not just the METCO kids or not just every black student, but it's well inclusive, it's all inclusive. And I think that for the future elementary school students, they're going to have a better upbringing in Reading Public Schools. Not saying that I have not had a good upbringing, but I know that they're going to flourish with the amount of resources and future leaders that are going to take them on along their journey. And special thanks to anybody and everybody and all of my wonderful people around me that kept me going, kept me motivated. My family members, my friends, the friends that I've lost, my close relatives, my teachers, my counselors, my principals, all of them, all of you guys, thank you so much for helping me create the person I am today. For as far as it goes for the future, I plan on pursuing my content creation journey with YouTube, expanding that. I plan on creating a business for myself. I want to be my own entrepreneur, and I'm going to major in business in college after my 2 years of community.
Yeah, so it was definitely a pleasure to get to know these young men and women over the last 3 years. Like I said, I learned a lot from them, spending time with them, hearing from them, and I'm truly excited to see what they do in the future. So I thank them, just for being them and coming to us whenever something wasn't right, something needed to be fixed, and being the advocates to make sure that we continue to do the right things and stay on the right track. So I'm excited for them, and congratulations as they embark on graduation and going to their next journey in life.
Great. Good job. Great job. Great job by Curtis and the students, right?
They
I have
did
a quick question.
Yeah.
Were there HBC tours before you started?
No, we're the only METCO district to ever do that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the first.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like seeing the Joshua doors. I knew exactly where he was. Exactly where he was when he was.
That's where he's doing his internship.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on from the focus on excellence, and we'll move to consent agenda. So, Aaron, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Seconded by Chuck. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? And it passes 4-0. So we'll move to reports. Tamia, are you here for the student report? If you are, take yourself off mute, and you're up first.
Hi, hello, sorry.
No
Can you guys
problem.
hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear.
Okay, let me pull it up.
We were just leaving practice too, so.
That's okay, we're used to that.
Okay, so it says right here, this Monday, close to 190 seniors started internships at various schools and businesses throughout the Reading and surrounding communities, and seniors participated in internships for approximately per week, and had submitted the final project at the conclusion of the internship in mid-May. And I've noticed also like this week, I like how the school, for those who are in the building, I like how the school is like for world language. I think it's what World Language Week this week, and I like how they were playing like different varieties of like music and in different languages, and I really appreciate how they do that. It's the first time that I think they've done it, because it's in the middle of the day and you're probably wondering what's going on while you're entering in the classrooms, and it's really it brings like a lot of like diversity, and it makes me feel like, you know, the school is really growing and to be more inclusive, and I like how they, and can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we can. You're doing great.
Huh?
We can hear you, Tamia. Go ahead. Maybe she can hear us. Tamia, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Practice in a bad Wi-Fi environment.
Must be at Reading Memorial High School. Yeah, I think we've lost connection for you for now, Tamia. Stay on if you can find a better spot, and we'll come back to you in a few minutes, okay?
And the class of 2027 is holding a progressive dinner. Mark. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
To me, if you get a better spot and you want to say some more things, just message me on the Zoom and I'll come back to you, okay? Got it. Dr. Pinto, or any report from you, sir?
Hi, good evening, everybody. I have a few quick items to share with you. This week I met with John Pudo, who's the executive director at the YMCA, again at John's invitation. So we discussed how we might continue to build on our synergies and existing partnerships to heighten our impact in the community and to see what role I might be able to play in so doing. I also met with Phil Stewart, who's the president-elect of the Reading Rotary, to further our relationship with community leaders who are working to improve the quality of life for others and how we might best be of support to them. And last night, Senator Jason Lewis, who's the co-chair on the Joint Committee for Education, held an information session on Chapter 70 funding, which I attended virtually. So he discussed the Student Opportunity Act, the budget, and acknowledged the impact of inflation. He did note that he had received a letter from the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, also the Massachusetts Association of School Committees and MTA, requesting an increase in Chapter 78. And while he couldn't make any promises, he did say he was hopeful. So those are a few items that I wanted to share with you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Pinto? No? Okay, Dr. Hardy?
Actually, I'm going to build off something that Tamia started talking about. This week was World Language Week at the high school, and I was honored to be invited to one of the events that happened. There was a ceremony to recognize 25 of our seniors for their accomplishments in learning and mastering a world language. The name of the award they received is called the Language Opportunity Coalition Bilingual Achievement Award. And that's for students that earned an intermediate to mid proficiency on an assessment that they took in 11th grade. And so it's something that we're really proud of. We know how much work it takes for students to acquire that level of proficiency in a second language, and our goal is for as many of our students as possible to be bilingual and multilingual. This was a way to celebrate their accomplishments. I want to give a huge thank you to one of our Spanish teachers, Derek Ryan, who has taken the lead in setting up the assessments for our students and really just working very hard to make sure every student who's eligible takes the assessment, and that students can even take retests if needed, and or some of our students who are heritage speakers, even if they are at a different grade level from when we normally do the assessment, have the opportunity to take the assessment as well. I really wanted to just shout out our entire world language department. Our world language teachers really are outstanding and do so much, not just to help students acquire another language, but to learn about the culture, because we all know that language holds so much around culture, and making sure that our students are learning that alongside whatever language they're studying. So it's a really nice event to be at.
Great. Any questions for Dr. Hardy? Okay, seeing none, Dr. Milchewski?
Great. I'll start by just building off two things I just heard so far. One is want to build off Dr. Hardy's comment. For those who don't follow the high schools, maybe super close to know that we are going to offer American Sign Language next year as a class. We've had a lot of interest in the community, so we're really excited. We're going to have a hard time keeping up with the demand, but that's a good problem to have. So just maybe if you haven't heard that, we're really excited about that. The second is if you saw Jameer outside JE, you heard a little bit about senior internship. If you haven't, don't know about the program, our seniors are allowed to, who are in good academic standing in their fourth quarter, spend their last couple of several weeks and months at RMHS out in the community in a job, in an internship site where they can participate in what's a career of interest for them. So we have students sort of all over, Boston, Reading, in internship sites in all different industries. Some in our educations in our school sites. Some in I would say our finance. Some in HR. Some in the athletics world. Some in construction. So it's really nice to have been able to follow them. That program has brought in $175,000 for our students over the past 2 years, because most of the sites are also paid sites for our students too, either paid by grants or paid by the companies themselves and organizations. Also, so to thank all of our community partners who have put themselves out there to be able to support in this way. We think it's a two-way street. It benefits our students and it benefits them. Two updates on my end. Just one is first, thank you. We have 3 students with us. Aiden, thank you for coming. Owen, I know you're videoing, thank you. And then Nellie, thank you for coming too. And we're going to say congratulations to Nellie. Nellie finished her first MCAS exam. Said it was easy, and she rocked it. Congratulations. And then also a big shout out to any of our paraprofessionals in our district. Yesterday was Paraprofessional Appreciation Day. You know that many of the paraprofessionals are like the glue of so many of our schools and do so much to support our students academically and social and emotionally. So just a huge thank you to all the paraprofessionals. We appreciate everything you do.
All right, any questions for Dr. Milchewski? Okay. Tamia, do you have anything else you want to add? Nope. Okay.
No, I think you guys have covered it.
Okay. Great. Thank you. All right, so we'll go to liaison reports. We'll start at my right. Chuck.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here. We, with the SWEC met Monday night. I think we're walking up the 18th fairway. It's just about done. We prepared our report for the board, the select board, which we're going to present TBD. I'm not sure when, but it's about done.
Okay. Great. Carla?
Thank you, everybody, for having us here. I'm really sad that I didn't get to see Millie. I am going to give an update on Killam. We had a community meeting on Monday night. We talked about our traffic, and we talked about our site, and that's for your new school that's going to come. And we have a Killam School Building Committee meeting on Monday the 8th at 7. So feel free to come or tune in.
You also have a public meeting, you know?
Yes, we do. It's like nonstop.
Yes.
We do have another meeting on the 11th at Killam, 7, 8 o'clock. We're also going to be doing some tours for those who want to see the school at 6:30. Thank you.
You're welcome. Aaron?
No reports tonight.
No reports, okay. Not so much a subcommittee report, but just a administrative report for the committee. We have filed for, with MIAA, the ability to allow our 8th graders to play lacrosse this year as well, just because we're a few students short. We do that sometimes. We've done with hockey, we've done with other sports in the past, but if there's any 8th graders that want to play at the high school level, most likely on the freshman team, but you get a head start on next year if you're so inclined and that's what you're interested in. So just FYI, that's in process.
Boys and girls?
Boys, I think, in particular. Boys is where we have the limitation. And to be clear, it's not that we have like only 12 lacrosse players, it's that we have like 62 and we need 75 or something like that. So it's just to field all 3 teams and make sure they all are fully staffed, fully competitive, etc. Not having kids play multiple levels and whatnot. So avoid injury and things like that. So, okay. Now, with that said, we move on to the fun part of the meeting. No pressure.
That's you.
Lavonda and Ilka, we're going to start with just kind of handing it over to you, having you introduce, and you have some questions you want us to answer as well. So I think it's going to be interactive. Approximately 20 minutes, give or take, is what our plan is.
Because we maybe overstayed our welcome last year. We're going to put a timer on. No, not at all. So thank you so much for having us. It's fantastic to be here in this super special place. I'm Ilka. I've got a child, a senior at the high school and a freshman. And I'm the co-chair with Lavonda Epps of Friends of Reading METCO. We're a 10-person board. We've got some of our board members here with us now. Tiffany Williams and Tish Mercado. And
on screen as well.
Yep, and we have Teresa Wiggins here in several capacities. Good to see you, Teresa.
Ilka, if you guys could speak up from the audience, it's a little bit harder to pick up on your voice.
Sure, excellent. That might be the first time anyone's ever said that to me, Teresa. Thank you. We'll do our best. Okay, so just quickly, it's been amazing to hear. Thank you, Curtis, for bringing in the experiences of students. It's absolutely fantastic, and that's why we exist as a board, to really do everything we can as parents and caregivers to support the METCO program that we are super proud of, and to continue to have such excellent young people be such an important part of the Reading Public Schools. So thank you, Curtis. So what we would like to do is we just want to have a short conversation with you. We sent through the questions beforehand. Our thinking is that in a sec, Lavonda will pose one by one each of the 3 questions we have for you. We'll try and limit to maybe 5 minutes for conversation on each question. And what we'll do as we'll be thinking and as we're listening, we'll take away what we hear from you all, and that's what will feed into our planning as a board for how we can continue to work with you effectively to really support and grow this fantastic METCO program. So that's our thinking, is a short conversation around 3 questions. So I'm now going to hand over to Lavonda, who's going to ask you the first question. Ta-da!
Again, thank you for having us. I want to piggyback really quick with Curtis. That I like that presentation. It was fulfilling, but I'm all about milestones. So I'm like, that's your COVID class. It really is. Like, they started 2020, so that whole 4 years, that is your COVID high school graduating class. Just food for thought. Good luck.
They're doing good.
Oh, one more, the freshmen. I mean, the sophomores. Juniors, I'm sorry. Juniors, I'm sorry. That's the part of it. To me, it's class.
Okay. So the first question, I want to make sure everyone on screen can hear as well. I'll start with you, Mr. Robinson. What are you proud of thinking about our Reading METCO program overall?
So, as some have heard me say before, leadership matters, and I think what I'm proud of is what Curtis has been able to do with Dr. Milichewski, and really elevated this program to a program that's it's not just a program we have, it's a program that I think other communities would strive to be like, with the tours that we're doing, with the HVAC, I think it's our leadership has brought it to just a much higher level.
Thank you.
So I was here 4 years ago during the summer for a visit with Curtis and our staff, principals and things like that in the summertime, and to, from the state of our METCO program that we were given by Millie and others, which was not favorable at all 4 years ago, to where we are now is actually really remarkable. So I am proud of the accomplishments of our superintendent, of Curtis, and in terms of this committee for funding, right, in conjunction with METCO grants for funding the positions that we funded. I think that was a pivotal role to funding those positions in the schools, was a pivotal role which really propelled us. But then I think all the special add-ons, like the college tours and the encouragement of students going home with, Boston students going home with Reading students, and encouraging those types of relationships, I think is the way, the direction that the program needs to continue to go in.
Can we do a time check yet?
No, because we won't get through all of these questions.
2 minutes for the rest of the school committee members so we can get to the next question.
So in other words, they took all the
There's so many things to be proud of, we understand. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think, they hit on some of the key points. I think what I'm most proud of when I see it is kind of the outcomes, right? But at the same time, that's my kind of going forward to the next question. I'm cheating a little bit on it. That's what I want to see more of, is improvement in the outcomes as well. I think the program has such promise. We went to Carlos Point from probably the worst METCO program in the state. We were pretty much told that from that point in time, right? To probably, arguably one of the top 10. Maybe top 5, right? But I think even from size-wise, we're top 5, give or take. I think so. And the growth that we've seen has been phenomenal, right? And I think that's what we want to. I don't want to stop where we are either, right? I want to make sure that. And again, I'm kind of jumping to the next question. Cheating a little bit.
That means we'll just skip over the
That's fine. That's fine. I want us to, we are not the biggest program in the state yet. I want us to be the biggest program in the state. Why not? We're arguably closer than the biggest program in the state, so it's easier. We have the community support and funding to do it. We should be, right? And I think it benefits not just our Boston students, and I don't want to say the METCO students, because everybody's a METCO student or a METCO district, right? The attitude, I think, is fundamentally different than it was 4 years ago as well. And to Chuck and Carlos Point, huge kudos to Curtis and Tom in that regard. And the continued funding that we have and the continued funding we need in those key positions. I'd also, one more cheat, I'd love to see us add, if we can, that last METCO coordinator at the middle school level, instead of spreading it across the two schools. Middle school is one of our biggest social and emotional growth challenges areas, regardless of program, regardless of student background. It is just the biggest social and emotional program, and so having the support there, I think, would be the next big step for us as well.
Excellent. So that's when we get to question 3 about the role in making the host happen. Brilliant, brilliant. Is there anything different?
So
Sorry.
sticking with what I'm proud of. In addition to what has already been said, I'm really proud of the We Are All METCO campaign. I think that, similar to Carla, I've been on the school committee for 4 years, and I just think that the recognition that we are all part of METCO, and we are all METCO families, has been a huge transformation. I think the visibility and the embracing of the program, I'm proud that we have grown the program, and I feel like it's all exploded. Like the work that Curtis is doing, the work that you're doing as the Friends of Reading METCO, and just really trying to mix more our Reading residents, our Boston residents. Almost every one of the seniors mentioned the late bus, so that students are, able to do as much and get as much out of their Reading school experience as possible. Like, I'm proud of all of that.
Sarah? I'm skipping over Curtis and Tom because they've answered these questions. We meet with them regularly.
Come on.
He's like taking it to answer.
I have to say, I'm proud of our Boston resident students. One of the things Curtis and I have worked on is really helping our staff to understand the obstacles, the added challenges our Boston kids face because of living not in as close proximity, having a longer commute, having to get up early in the morning. And so when I think about the added challenges, that they come to school every day, work so hard, have make really good friendships, and to me they're the heart and soul of this program, and I'm so proud of what they accomplished.
I'm going to stay down there because I'm already there. So what are your hopes for the program in the future?
I think I'm going to take what Tom was going to say a little bit. One of the parts of my job is to really look at how our students are performing academically, and consistently when I look at how our Boston resident students are doing, I don't see the same level of performance that I want for them in our district. And so my hope is that some of the things we're putting in place and trying, that we're going to start to see achievement and growth that our kids deserve.
Erin, what are your hopes for the program in the future?
So a few things. Similar to Tom, I would like to see us continue to be able to expand this program, including with another school adjustment counselor, but also with students in the district. I would like to see us open it up to even more students. I would like to see more of our Boston residents taking advanced coursework at the high school, and that starts at elementary school, and how we are preparing them for that and encouraging them and making that possible. I also think for as much work has been done so far in terms of We Are All METCO, there's more work to be done. And it's upsetting when I hear about situations where I think there are still people in the Reading community who unfortunately don't regard all of our Boston students as Reading Public School students, and that doesn't sit well with me as a school committee member. So I would like to see us get to a point where it's just universally acknowledged that regardless of where these students live, they're Reading Public School students, and as important as anyone who lives in the town of Reading.
Thank you for that. Tom? Or should we skip you?
Come back.
Your choice.
We'll come back because we're checking time.
I can just expound some more, but we'll go to Carla.
Carla, what are your hopes for the program in the future?
So I think for me, and it's somewhat of a repeat of stuff that we've heard, but in terms of For me, I think the biggest things are enrollment, and I think the direction that truly makes a program of the heart is the relationships. And that is, you know, creating those opportunities for students to spend time together, right? We had METCO, I'm not gonna tell you what year, but, you know, when I was a kid, and it was a different time, and there were different relationships. And I don't see that come as easily now than it did when I was a kid. So that, I have no doubt, because Curtis and I have these conversations all the time, that that's where our program is headed. And I think once that happens, then the program just takes off, because it's run by the kids at home, which is really what we should do.
So one of the things, I agree with a lot, everything that was said, but one of the things that Carla just started to touch on it, in my many conversations with Curtis, I've always heard him speak fondly of his time in Wales. And, you know, I would want our students in Reading to have those fond experiences that Curtis had, and, you know, I'd like to have them be able to come back and tell those stories. That's that being part of the community is just really important.
And the third question, what do you see as your role in making these hopes a reality?
Just to continue to advocate and listen a lot more than talking about it, and listening to, you know, what kind of feedback are we getting from families in the communities about it, and what we can do better, and how can we advocate for you. And as Tom mentioned, you know, add another position in the middle school level, those sorts of things. That's kind of our role, is to be your advocate to go get what you're asking us to get you. If that makes sense.
It does make perfect sense.
And our responsibility as school committee members is support and budget, right? Those are the huge pieces of it. You know, I can say unequivocally that we have 6 members on this committee that are all in with this program, but there's just no hesitation, which makes it just easier to move forward. So it's really budget and support for me.
Do we get a chance this time?
I want to go in for this one.
So I'm gonna pull on the academic thread a little bit, since that's where I spend a lot of my passion time anyway. My focus in this regard is to continue to challenge the status quo, ask the whys. Make sure that we are doing everything we can to provide the supports necessary, to provide the tools necessary, to provide everything necessary for success for students. Every student has a different definition of success, so I'm not going to put that into like a pigeonhole necessarily, but I do want and expect that we're seeing higher levels of academic success overall for all of our students, but especially those that we have to close the gap for. People know I'm a data guy, and the data is not where it needs to be right now for many of our student populations we're talking about. And so what is it that we need to do? So Tom and Sarah will tell them, I'm like, okay, this is what this study says. What are we doing about this? What are we doing about this? And making sure that we think about some of those things as well. And to Carla's point about, you know, our role, it comes back to goals as well, right? So if you look at our goals right now, Dr. Milczewski has a goal in particular about data analysis and tying that to remediations and building a library for what you need to do to support the remediation that's necessary. Dr. Hardy and I were talking right before the meeting about personal experience she was having where other districts don't have in place some of the stuff that we have, just from a pure analysis perspective. And that kind of, A, it spoke volumes because we were there 6 years ago versus where we are now. But B, it's like that's where we need to keep going down that path, that we have the answers to the questions. right? And so the support from that perspective, the continual research, the continual challenging questions, the setting the goals to achieve them. You don't set a goal, you're not going to achieve it. And make them stretch goals. You know, not something you can easily achieve, but let's stretch ourselves and really kind of push ourselves out there.
Before you answer, we are going to go a few minutes over because we have to get the answers because we're at 24 seconds. Oh, okay.
I'm going to let the timer go off though because I just want people to understand I did set the timer. 12 seconds remaining.
Make it quick, Erin.
The question is, what do you see as your role in making these hopes a reality, Erin?
Yeah, so a mix of what everyone else has said. So I do think that we are advocates. You know, as a school committee member, I am elected to represent the students of Reading Public Schools, and that includes our Boston residents. So I consider it my role to advocate for what our students need and what is in the best interest of our students. So that includes listening and making sure that I'm aware of, you know, what is happening in the district, but also then advocacy to the administration. I think budget does play a role. You know, if we want to add a position, that's going to have an impact on the budget. So part of what we have to decide every year is, you know, what does the district need? What are the biggest priorities, and how can we help fund those priorities? And I think getting another school adjustment counselor / METCO coordinator, so we have one at each middle school, is a priority. And I also see us as messengers. So, you know, I'm a messenger for the community of what is happening in our schools and what can be celebrated in our schools. And so I think part of our role is also, you know, continuing, you know, I'm being repetitive, but we are all METCO. Like, I see my role as continuing to spread that message and to spread that word so that it's more fully embraced by the entire community.
A lot of my role overlaps with what Tom already talked about, so I won't repeat that. But yeah, I echo what he said. The other piece of it is making sure that our schools are welcoming environments where learning can happen. We all know that that is an essential component. If students don't feel safe, welcome, listened to, they can't learn. Their brains literally can't learn. And so my role in that is continuing to support our building leaders and our teachers in any professional development they need to understand what our students need, to work and leverage our amazing METCO coordinators, school adjustment counselors, to make sure they have what they need, because they are so important to the success of our students. And then I would add one that's not directly my role, but part of what we do as a central office team, and then that is in our hiring, making sure that it is a priority for us that we have the most diverse staff we can have, so that all of our students have the opportunity to learn from and work alongside that look like them. So that's another piece of, I hope, to help.
Thank you for that, and I'm just going to say I appreciate that, because there aren't anyone in any of the schools that look like them, and representation matters, and they need it. I don't know how much time you have if you guys want to give your answers to those questions, but
we can go for a few more minutes if you want to.
Sure. Do you want to go first or second?
I don't know where to start. There's a lot.
Well, I'll throw in something really quick while you're thinking.
Yeah,
I'm going to throw in what are my hopes for the program in the future? More communication about activities on both ends. It sounds small, but it really isn't. And I'll quickly make it personal, but not. It's going to tie in. Last year, the same time, I said the same thing about Boston residents not knowing about activities that are happening. My child's attending daddy-daughter dance yet again, second year in a row. I don't know if any Boston residents knew about it. I just make it a point to, my kid goes out there, I'm going to subscribe to this paper, I'm going to look at this Facebook page, I'm going to do all of that. So I don't know if it's, most of them are not aware, but more collaboration, more communication, more sharing of info and events. And with school committee, with Friends of Reading METCO, with PTOs, so that the information gets shared amongst all of the district.
I think I'll probably speak during the presentation a little bit too, but I just want to emphasize one point. I don't think it came up enough in this conversation, is just the impact of counselors, which is what I'm really, really proud of. I think for those of you, thank you, Sonia, for being here too, but it's the counselors make a tremendous impact on our students each day in terms of keeping track of their academic progress and making sure they're on track, supporting their social and emotional development, helping them navigate sort of whatever sort of is thrown their way. And I also had a conversation with a student at the high school the other day. It's like, this is the first time they have someone who shares a racial identity, the same racial identity as them, who can help them navigate a conflict that has some racial dynamics in it, and that has just helped them feel more safe, comfortable, supported at school. I just think those counselors, all of them, have gone above and beyond to build relationships with our students, to build relationships with families, with staff, and I think are really a game changer in the experience, the day-to-day experience of our students. So I'd just like to thank all the counselors who've really done an amazing job, and I think really make out of everything that's been said here. I know you gave some thanks like Curtis and I, but like the teachers and the counselors are the ones like day in, day out doing the work. So Sonia, thank you to you and your team too. And you'll hear more of that in Curtis' presentation as well.
Okay, great. So that's a good pin to put it on, and we'll move on to the update from Curtis on the overall program. Is there something up here to share?
Yeah, the slide. Yeah.
This one. Okay, so we go here, here, share. You want to start talking while I go ahead and do the share?
Well, I just want to make sure.
Okay.
I practice this a few times.
Slideshow.
So.
What's that?
Oh, there we go. So, how do we go back? Alright, cool. Alright, so.
Here, you want this? Yep.
Oh,
that's the mouse. Just push the button or slide. Use the slider.
Alright.
Slide up.
Alright, cool. Alright, thank you everyone, and thanks for everything that has been said. For me, I'm still diving into a couple of the questions. When I first took this role, I had to reach out to my director, and they told me it doesn't work without the support of your superintendent, without the support of your school committee. So I'm very proud of like the kids and what they've done. I'm very proud of the METCO coordinators. I live vicariously through them because through this role, it brings clarity to me now on why I didn't see my METCO directors as much because of the role. You're not as around the kids as much as you would like to be. So when I see the experience with the coordinators and the students, I see myself and what my experience was like with the coordinators. I also see, when I see the coordinators interact with the parents, I see my mother and how she interacted with my METCO coordinators. But in order to do all of this, you have to have the support from the superintendent, the support from the school committee. It does not work without them. I was told that by both my METCO directors, and the work that school committee does publicly, the work that school committee does behind closed doors, the work that Tom does that, keeps me my sanity sometimes. He kind of like, he's just, he talks to me. We have good conversations coming to work and from work. The work that I see Sarah do when we're having our district leadership meetings, and she's constantly trying to educate herself. She's constantly making sure that our teachers are prepared and understand how to educate all students. The same that goes for Jen and Allison and the work that they do. When they're constantly making sure that our staff are prepared and know how to educate all students. It puts me in a position where I don't have to be the only person of color in the leadership team to speak about the issues that we all know we need to go. They do it, and it makes things easier for me. It makes it where I want to come here and be here and do the work. So I appreciate all the work that Central Office is doing, and then obviously our school committee. But most importantly, as we go dive into this, I really appreciate our METCO coordinators and the work that they're doing. Like I said, being able to see, Sonia and the kids making smoothies and the kids go into the...
Can I take a picture of that?
Yeah, the kids going into their office and hanging out, and, the Reading resident students, their friends coming with them for lunch dates, and I'm sorry, they call them lunch buddies?
Lunch bunches.
Lunch bunches, I'm sorry, lunch bunches. The seeing the work that they're doing, so I really, I really, truly appreciate all 7 of our METCO coordinators. Like I said, I live vicariously through them. They're all great leaders. I don't have to micromanage anybody. They're bright, young leaders who can do anything. They're creative, they're innovative. Their ability to address difficult situations, whether it be with students or whether it be with staff, their abilities to stand up for equity in all students. Now I really am appreciative of the work that they've been doing throughout this year. You can see the impact that it's happening, that they're having on our Black and brown students, obviously, and then in the entire district, but then also our Reading, our Black and brown students, the impact that they're having on them. We see at the high school all the time. You can walk in and just see the pack. We've outgrown the space that where this picture was taking place. When we first started, we had 40-something, about 45 students from Boston in the entire district. Now we're at a max of a 107, but when you walk in that office, it's Reading Public School. And it's kids who feel comfortable with Black and brown students, it's non-Black and brown white students feeling comfortable to hang out with Mr. Luke in the office, and that goes throughout the entire district. So I'm thankful for Luke Lucy at the high school, our high school coordinator, Jerica Santiago, our middle school coordinator, Theo Brown, at Eaton, Sonia Lombard, who's here, who's at Killam, Patricia who's at Woodend, Shaquanda Brown, who's at Barrows, and Cindy Marte, who's at Birch Meadow. In order for them to be successful as they had been this year, we had to narrow down with some work that we did with Joseph Longbottom and some work with our principals, narrow down and try to focus on just 5 things for our METCO coordinators to do throughout the day. And those 5 things were making sure that they're meeting with our Boston students, resident students regularly to support their academic, social, and emotional needs in small groups and individually. That's something that they do every day. We wanted them to make sure that they're building connections and relationships with and between our Boston and Reading resident students to really foster those relationships amongst the kids. We also want them to build connections and relationships with and between our Boston resident parents and our Reading resident parents. We wanted them, in order for this to work out, as me, I'm a leader, part of the district leadership team. We needed the METCO coordinators to be part of their leadership of their school, right? So our METCO coordinators act as members of their school leadership team to model culture responsive leadership throughout the building and really making sure that helping they work along with their principal to make sure that we're meeting our district goals and around METCO. To support all students.
So I want to add one thing too, if just a little bit of context on the roles too, is that usually these are they have 2 major parts of the role. We're going to hear a lot about the METCO coordinator role. They also have another capacity, which their role is a school counselor too. So that's at all of our K through 8. So not only are they responsible for supporting, being a direct liaison around METCO related, connections, but also they're supporting every student in the building around social and emotional needs too. So the only spot where that's a little bit different is at the high school, where Mr. Luke is he's a METCO coordinator, and while he does a lot of social and emotional support, he's just not a licensed mental health clinician like at the other levels. And this position is split between the METCO budget and our district operating budget. So that's kind of where the budget ties come in, as the committee, funding half the positions and the METCO grant funding half the positions.
Thank you. And the last thing, you know, the METCO coordinators, we make sure that that they're part of assisting the principals and teachers with proactive, responsive communications with our Boston resident families regarding their students' experience in school, including academic, social, and emotional progress. So those are the 5 bucket areas. They do way more than that, but because they do way more than that, we kind of have to make it kind of simple for them, so they're not doing too much and keeping some of their own peace, right? So those are the 5 things that we kind of focus their role to. Now, to support their role,
Click on the screen. There you go, now you're moving, so.
Okay.
Just hitting it. There you
All
go.
right. All right, so in order to, now we have to give the METCO coordinator support. So we have a list of things for them to do. How do we support them to make sure that they're able to do this in their best capability and in their own unique way? So the support that we provide them is that myself and all the METCO coordinators, we meet bi-weekly. We go over programming across all schools and roles and likes and processing. This is what we talk about, you know, goals, initiative, is there something popping up? But then that's also as leader of colors, they're also as leader of colors in their building, it's sometimes just a safe space just for us to come together as, you know, minority. We have to talk to each other. We have to just sometimes not talk about direct stuff and just make sure that we feel good and that we feel comfortable as well. So it's a space that for us when we meet bi-weekly. To continue to support that, we have our monthly METCO rotating site visits. This is where, so when you saw this that you're here, well actually in the pictures we use, this is Birch Meadow. This is where we pick Birch Meadow, and the METCO coordinator, school district council there, Cindy Marte, and the principal, Dr. Burnham, we would come to them and then they would share best practices with the entire team. We would do walkthroughs throughout the building. We walk into classrooms, do observations, to see students and their work. You know, Cindy and the METCO coordinators are able to introduce us to the students, and let them know that they do the same thing at Eaton. They do what I do at Birch. So this is a time where the METCO coordinators can share best practices amongst each other. When we've done this at this time, Cindy was doing a school presentation to the students. I can't remember what it was, but the METCO coordinators got to observe that and take notes and just bounce ideas off each other and see it in action, but then also be able to walk through the buildings and see the kids, have the kids see us, and know who we are and what they're doing. So that's a way to support the METCO coordinators in their roles in that way. I also have triad meetings. These meetings where I will go to one school and I will meet with that individual METCO coordinator and the principal, and we'll discuss METCO goals and concerns or whatever needs to be addressed for that specific building. Student cases individually, does someone need some support here or there? This one's doing well. We talk directly to that school, and it's just the 3 of us to go over what's happening in that building. And then I continue, which I've been doing for year three now. I meet monthly with the principals. So as the elementary group, all 5 elementary principals and myself, we meet once a month to discuss METCO goals, initiatives, and supports needed by level. So I do that with the elementary, the middle school, and high school once a month. And these are just all ways to make sure that we're able to support the overall METCO program in every school, but then also to make sure that our METCO coordinators have the support and the tools to do what they need to do when they're in their buildings. So their impact, we've heard a lot about their impact. I actually I did a video as well where we get to hear from our METCO coordinator, Cindy Marte from Birch, and then along with our METCO coordinator, Theo Brown from Eaton. And we also have Sonia here, so while we pull up the video, Sonia, I'll put you on the spot. I warned her that I was going to put her on the spot, but if you would like to share, what life is like in your role at Killam.
Sure. Like I said, I help all the students So I work with Boston residents and Reading residents, and what I like is my office is a safe space for everybody. And I love bridging the friendships and creating friendships with the kids, and also helping them find the similarities. So even though they are in two completely different cities, and I'm very big on narratives. So changing the narratives of, you know, Boston kids come here because they need an opportunity for a greater education. I'm like, I went to the #1 high school in Massachusetts. It's in Boston. So actually it's a two-way road. So you guys are learning these things, they're learning these things, like where it's give and take. So, you know, making sure that everyone knows that it's a learning experience for everybody. And a lot of kids that were perceived certain ways, being able to talk to their teachers. And I think it's huge that for this district, that they're counselors that are the coordinators, because that comes with a whole backing of social emotional language learning, where we're able to impact the students, but also the teachers and the leadership team, and to be able to teach them things like narratives, like, you're looking at it this way. Did you think about all of these things that these kids are impacted by and are going through, and the changes? And like you said, middle school, that's a level where their brains literally growing at different paces. So their reasoning skills are not there yet. It's not growing as fast as others. So I'm like, they need that extra support. And to have that from somebody that also understands like the cultural aspect is huge. And not only that, but to have Reading students being impacted by somebody who has that cultural knowledge, who grew up like this. Because some of the questions I get in my office, I love having conversations about, so can I wear braids? Yes, absolutely. But it's so fun, and they're asking all these questions and things. If you go to Killam, there's a whole, my hallway, I have all these things from when I went to Ghana and when I went to South Africa, and I want to have those conversations. I want them to, like, a girl was like, my grandfather's from Taiwan, and like, she's conflicted about learning to speak, and I'm like, you absolutely should learn how to speak, and it's so much easier for you to learn how to speak while you're 6. It's a lot harder when you get to my age, 30 years later, you know, it doesn't come that easy. And I was like, did you know you get paid more if you're older and you speak more than one language? She's like, I do? Absolutely. Trust me. So I love having these conversations and really teaching the kids how important culture is, because it's not fair to them when they get to college and they get into real jobs, and then they're like, oh, the world looks so different from what I grew up in. So if they're exposed to this at a younger age, they don't get this culture shock when they become adults.
Thank you. So now, that lead us into just we can hear a little bit from Cindy.
Let me say something first. I don't think I clicked the sound button. I want to make sure those on the Zoom can actually hear the sound as well. Sound is good, so. All right. Ready?
Yep.
Hello, mi gente. My name is Cindy Martin. I am the member coordinator and school adjustment counselor here at Birch Meadow Elementary School. Go Birchie Bears. I am currently in my 2nd year in this role. And I guess if I would have to reflect back, I would definitely say that my role has had a huge impact, not solely on our Boston resident students, but also on our entire Reading community as a whole. Reading residents benefit from the presence and impact on my role in the building by helping to bridge the potential divide between our Reading population, who's, you know, majority white Caucasian, and our more diverse Boston students, right? And this is done by working with all students in a variety of ways, whether that's like in the classroom, you know, lunch bunches, our cultural bulletin boards, our cultural assemblies, and all of these different things help to bring a sense of connectedness and belonging for all students regardless of where they live. Particularly for our Boston students, I would have to say the major impact for them is being able to see themselves in me, right? You know, not having a culturally diverse community of teachers can potentially leave them feeling isolated and misunderstood. So having someone here that, you know, looks like them, speaks their language, sees them, understands them, just makes all of the difference in the world. And I do think not only has it helped the students, but I think it's been good for, our staff as well. Teachers and staff have expressed and continue to express since last year the gratitude for my role in the creation of these positions in the entire district, right? We do know that sometimes even being incredibly well-meaning, at times responses to students may come across as culturally biased. But teachers often ask to bounce ideas off me, give my opinion and feedback on things, and we collaborate on lessons that hopefully they're able to implement. And so I would definitely say that these roles, it's been a game changer, like I said, not only for the students, but our just community as a whole. And I'm extremely thankful to have been given the opportunity to be here. Thank you so much.
Okay, welcome to Joshua Beach Elementary School. I'm here, Mr. Theodore Brown, your METCO coordinator, also school adjustment counselor. I get the great opportunity as a METCO coordinator to bring two communities together, Reading and METCO, along with helping our Boston resident scholars work towards excellence every day. Helping their peers here that live in Reading see a different black man in the school as far as changing that narrative that we need to change, through our society for ourselves on a daily basis. I see that our impact here has been tremendous as far as METCO coordinators. At every elementary school, along with the middle school and high school, we have definitely made a difference for every student, along with both communities. I wish I did have that as an elementary school kid, to have a black male walk through the school, being that example, being someone that I want to be like on a daily basis. That whole experience would have been great if I had that in elementary school. But as a METCO coordinator, I get the great opportunity to kind of just make an impact for our future leaders. It's a great position to have, it's a great role to have, and I know that sometimes we might not see the change now, but we're looking forward to seeing that change down the road.
Mr. Brown was also, he's also an alum through NEDA and through the NEDA METCO program. And Mrs. Brown, no relation, who's the Barrows METCO coordinator, she's also an alum through Marblehead METCO program. So that's been extremely helpful having them as well.
Put a good green bar. Green bar. Oh, okay. Drag that down. You see the other thing. Yeah, you can go click your presentation, which I think is the second one. Second one. That one. You can go back to that show.
How are we for time? Okay.
You're fine. Yeah. 5 or 10 more minutes.
Yeah. I always got to keep Curtis going, so I'll tell him 3 to 5. He holds me accountable too, so.
So last year, one of our middle school students from Parker came up with the idea of Found Family, which is a group of people who unite in a family bond based on shared experience, mutual understanding, interpersonal connections. A found family is not biological, but found when placed in a new place, which I feel like sums up exactly like what the METCO program is. So I was really excited to that. When I was going into doing this slide and doing my preparedness, I asked the METCO coordinators, do all of our students that are from Boston have at least 2 friends? And they all kind of looked at me like I was crazy because they have more than 2 friends. So we're actually seeing a huge growth in where our Boston resident students are doing a lot more activities in Reading for play dates, birthday parties, etc. Where we want to see growth is on the opposite side, where more of our Reading families are going to Boston for birthday parties, play dates, and so on. Some of the events that we've done so far this year, the picture at the bottom, which is the Franklin Park Zoo. We went to the Boston Lights. It was a really, really good time. This is only a picture of half of us because it was so hectic. I plan on doing this again, but I just now know that we shouldn't do it on a Sunday when there's no school on a Monday because everyone planned to be there that day. So this is something that I definitely will want to continue. As you can see, we had close to 200 people show up, both Boston and Reading resident families. We had a good time. METCO Headquarters, they gave us about 50 tickets this year to go see the Black Nativity show, where our Boston resident families invited some of their Reading friends, and I could see the other family and students from Wood End who went to go enjoy the play together. To wrap up the year, our last event to continue to have the children bring their friends is going to be, the date just came out, and that's May 18th for the Kite Festival. That date just came out literally yesterday. So we are going to now finalize and start to get that information out there. But we're definitely seeing a lot of growth, and it's something that the high school students spoke on a lot, even in the video, of how they had their friends, but they didn't do anything as far as play dates, and we're seeing huge growth in those numbers.
I can't get him to stay home. Like, he is never home. People like, where's Aiden? I'm like, where y'all think he's at? He's in Reddit. So Aiden did not know how to take the bus nowhere in Boston but to school when he went to Jamaica Plain.
Yeah.
Aiden knows how to get on the MBT and go to Redding, but ask him to go to Copley or somewhere. He doesn't know. He's not gonna know.
Last year when we had our school committee meeting, we said we wanted to do more cultural events. We've done a lot, and I can't list everything, but this is just some that I wanted to spotlight. We started the school year with Hispanic Heritage Month, where every school did something, did some type of presentation performance in front of the school. At the high school, we had the Dominican restaurant, Mangu, from Hyde Park, come and take over the cafeteria as far as cooking and making food from their restaurant exactly the way they do it at their restaurant for the entire student body. We also went to Black History Month and did the same thing, where Restaurant Park 54, you can see the bottom left, they came to the high school and they did the same thing, cook food directly from their menu at their restaurant. We also said we wanted to do more stuff in Boston. We were able to, for Kwanzaa, we took about 80 elementary students across the district to Boston, to Roxbury Community College to see the Kwanzaa play. I'm sorry, how do you pronounce it?
Tafuta.
Tafuta. So students from all 5 elementary schools went to RCC to see this play and learn about Kwanzaa. Within, they had a Philadelphia-based ill-style piece production, which is a dance. They came to the school and taught all the students some hip-hop history and hip-hop dance. So this is just some of the things that we did this year. We've done a lot of great stuff over the school year. My great favorite, though, would be Barrows. During Black History Month, the entire school did a door decoration, and where they dedicated the door to some Black historic figure, whether it be past or present, and it was really, really cool to see, what they did and how they decorated those doors, and every single door in the classroom had something, and so that was a really good time. That was my favorite, to walk with Tom and some of the central office staff to be the judge, and they did the best one. My favorite was Andre Tilley, who was a Black fashion designer. They really went in and decorated his door really nicely. The gym teacher chose to highlight Gerard Mayo, in which his wife commented and thanked in gratitude for the school doing that, and reached out as well. So those are just some of the great things.
And those pictures are on Instagram, right?
Yes, they are on Instagram.
Promote that page.
Yeah. I didn't say it again.
It promote Instagram.
Oh, yes.
Great stuff out there.
You can see all those pages. Yeah. This time last year, we also talked about doing more professional development. We did a lot last year, and we'll continue to do that. For the second year in a row, out of all 32 METCO districts, we have the largest turnout for the METCO Directors Association Conference. This is a day of learning and equity and being able to close some of those gaps that we have, and how to welcome and teach to all students, and Black and brown students. So our staff, we had a really great turnout once again for year 2. They have some great day of learning. Then again, had Dr. Carlos Hoyt, who did professional development at Diversity Without Divisiveness. Kathy Lopes, who's the DEI director for Newton Public Schools, came and went to Birch Meadow and did a culturally responsive communities professional development for staff. And then coming up after vacation, we have about 25 staff members across the district. We are going to Boston, and we're going to visit a Boston public school. We're going to learn from the school that we chose, which is the Orberger, learn from them and see some strong culturally responsive instruction, learn ways in which the BPS schools and classroom affirm student identity and lead into sense of belonging. We're going to take a look at how that school notice school culture, what that really means and looks like. Observe classroom management techniques such as restorative practices, and observe how teachers and parents work together. One thing I can say, BPS does a really good job of teachers and parents working together, and students seeing parents as teachers, and take a look at that, and then learn how teachers interact and with parents. This is something when I was in BPS that we actually worked on, and we're going to go ahead and see how they do that as well, because it is a skill. We're working and making sure that our teachers and our parents are continuously working together throughout the entire school district. And to jump off of what some of the remarks that Tom was saying earlier today, when I first met, when I first spoke with everyone from school committee, I told you all I want us to be the best METCO district in the state. Tom and Carla spoke about where we were, and we have been told by 32 METCO directors, I'm sorry, 31 because I'll be 32, along with Millie, our CEO, that we have become the model district for what METCO should look like. Tom and I were invited to speak to all 32 METCO directors and superintendents to share some of our best practices at Gillette Stadium. So we had a really good turnout. We just shared the things that we've done. That led to, we've hosted districts, Weston, who came to us to observe, visit schools, and hear from Tom and I about some of our best practices. We've heard from schools like Marblehead, Swampscott, Melrose, Wayland, who all interested, who all interested in how we were able to combine and work together where the district and the METCO grant works together to fund our METCO coordinators. What's that job description like? How do we do that? Everyone has been asking about how we've been doing a lot of different things, how we put together the HBCU tool. We've had a lot of colleagues, I've had a lot of colleagues acknowledge, they've been doing this role for 20 years, and some of the things that we've done, they still haven't done, but they're at peace at where they are with their district. But we've definitely made some strides in the right direction. We still have a lot of work together to go, but this year I really feel like we went from making a movement to maybe starting to see our first signs of progress. I seen a video of Denzel Washington where he says, "Don't confuse movement with progress. You can move in the same place and not go anywhere." And this year we're starting to see the progress of our coordinators and their interaction with our students and how that connects their self-belonging, which we will then start to see the better academic performance and students wanting to be here, students feeling comfortable and feeling like they can go to someone and go to their teachers and feeling like they're Reading Public School students. So we have a lot of work to do, but we are definitely being recognized as one of the model districts of what METCO should look like. And again, Desi has come to visit us to personally see that. The METCO Board of Directors, the President and the Vice President, have came to see and hear from us and speak with students. So we're in a really good space. In year 3, we're continuing to climb the steps. We haven't stayed stagnant on one step, and we haven't moved backwards. So we just want to continue that growth and make sure we're moving up. While acknowledging we still got a lot to do. But the fact that everyone in the leadership role, down from school committee to central office to principals, the coordinator, everyone's committed to doing the work.
Time check, you guys.
All right. Almost there. So for next year, we have 8 seniors going. So that allows us, our max number is 107. That's the max that Desi will allow us to be at. So next year with 8 leaving, we have about 5 students who moved out of Boston, so can no longer be part of the program because they don't live here. So we'll be replacing those students with 16 students in grades ranging between 1st and 10th. Part of that process, students and parents will be able to visit the school this year and spend some time in their potential school, getting to know some of the students and the principal to help make that transition much smoother. Next year, we will be looking to go back to doing our HBCU tour. We're bouncing around a few ideas. Where do we just take freshmen and sophomores and we go to Atlanta and visit the schools in Atlanta, and maybe the juniors and seniors we go to DC and visit the school in the DMV area like Howard, Delaware State, and so on. So we're bouncing those around. So we'll be continuing to do that. We'll probably do some fundraising as well to help support that. But we will be looking at going back and doing our HBCU tour. And this is something that once we get through after next year, we'll continue to do it every other year so that we can bring freshmen and sophomores and make sure those new cohorts can go and see the school as early as possible. Level funded. Level funded means that the governor and the senators and the state reps, they level funded us this year, which means they gave us the exact same amount of money, METCO, that they did last year. It's a nice way of saying we're not cutting the METCO grant, but they did cut the METCO grant. And that's because we know staff salaries does not stay the same. The buses do not stay the same. Those go up. They've already implemented and are proposing to level fund us again next year, which will be 2 years of cutting the METCO grant. That eventually is going to hurt in some way. So METCO Headquarters, the CEO, has changed the advocacy day to do it by region. They asked us to host, so all 6 METCO districts in the North region will probably meet somewhere privately with about 25 to 30 people, along with our state reps, the state senator, and other people who are part of the process of making sure that METCO is funded, not just funded probably, but that there's an annual cost of living increase so that we don't stay stuck. So that's going to be happening actually May 17th.
Grace, can you give us the details of those?
Yes, I'll read that out. Yep.
And I'll just say this as well, I'm going to suggest to the committee that we should write a letter and sign it for our next meeting that will be ready in advance of the May 17th.
Perfect. Thank you.
That was your last slide.
Oh, yeah.
I got more.
Pictures here is our seniors and sophomore speaker with Rep. Harry, who is the Reading Woober.
Yeah, he's the south side of Reading representative.
Yeah, representative.
North side is Brad
Speaking to him
Jones.
about the importance of making sure that the funding is what it needs to be.
Senate Education Chair is also our Jason Lewis is also our rep, so we definitely should have a pretty large voice to help us with this. Can you hand that back to me?
Yeah.
Quick question.
Fire away.
So we're right now targeted, well, we're at 107.
Yes.
So the process of if we want more students, that has to be approved.
Yeah, so DESE has to first, in order to do it, DESE first has to, the state senators and the government, they have to increase the budget, because we can't increase if they were in the same amount of money, because then that just means we're taking away money from Hingham. We're taking away money from Hingham. So if they increase the grant and say there's so much money that you can increase, then that's when we go through the process of reaching out to school committee and asking them, can we increase? And then if the school committee approves it, then DESE will approve it, as long as we have a plan to show how we'll use the money that they'll give us and how we'll be able to support the students.
So is the money different for each city, like for METCO?
Yeah, so every METCO district has a different grant budget. So it's all based on how many students you have. So some districts have 40 kids, so they have less money. And then Newton is the largest METCO district. They have 400 students. So they have the biggest district. They have the biggest grant, and that's how that works.
So what if they don't meet 400 kids?
They'll get paid for whatever they have. Actually, no.
It's basically right?
No, they get paid for what they have.
They get paid for what they have. Yep.
Yeah, they get paid for what they have. Yes.
Then you can steal, right?
You can steal
the spots.
Steal the spots, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Actually, that's what we did a couple years ago when we
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Like, if they don't have it, then can another
Potentially,
get it.
but it's kind of an after the fact problem, right?
Yeah.
So they haven't filled it, so the next school year there might be some openings, so then you have to be able to find somebody who wants to transfer mid-school year, right?
Gotcha.
Which becomes part of the challenge. So, okay, I'm gonna move us on, because we are now well behind schedule, but we can get ourselves moving here. The next topic on the conversation is actually kind of an open topic, but I'm gonna time box it to about 15 minutes. This topic is for the Children's Cabinet, and one of our goals is for community engagement. And one of the ways we're doing that is we have a Children's Cabinet, of which there are some members here that are part of that. Teresa as well is leading it with Barbara at the top from our perspective. I'm fortunate enough to be on that, but the group, there are two subgroups that are working through things. The one I'm working on is resources, like providing resources for students and families in order to make sure we can ensure success. This little video, short video, just kind of explains what a Children's Cabinet is. I feel like it's good to anchor on, and then I'm going to kind of open the question, just kind of say, what do you not have? So think about that during the 2.5 minutes. What do you not have that you need for your student, your family to succeed? We know that METCO provides a lot of materials, but we want to make sure that as we think about this for Reading, we're also making sure we're thinking about it for all of the Reading Public Schools students, not just those that live in Reading. So with that said, I'll start with you. And let me make sure I'm sharing so our friends online can see it as well.
Can I just mention something that was mentioned to me when I went outside as you were doing that?
Sure.
The person from METCO Headquarters asked to remind to please have a photo of everyone before, including community members.
Absolutely.
Eduardo loves school, but he needs a tutor to support his reading difficulties, an eye doctor to address vision challenges, and a social worker to help his family access food assistance and stable housing. This means that Eduardo's family must meet with school staff to find a tutor, a health center to find a doctor, and the Department of Social Services to get assigned a social worker. Navigating all these systems is complicated, time-consuming, and overwhelming. It's not just Eduardo and his family facing these challenges, but countless families with their own unique needs. The problem is that in communities across the country, education, health, social services, and nonprofit agencies operate independently and aren't coordinated. They have their own staff, programs, metrics of success, and funding streams. But there's a solution. Imagine a regular meeting where the mayor, school superintendent, and the directors of health, housing, social services, transportation, and other local agencies like the Food Pantry, YMCA, and United Way all come together to support children and families. What if they help to establish partnerships between schools and health clinics? What if the agency heads established a free summer bus route for children to attend a free YMCA camp? What if they launched a special fund for families at risk of homelessness to stabilize students through the school year? A Children's Cabinet is a mechanism for government agencies and community stakeholders to create a shared vision, policies, and practices for kids in the community. Cabinets can address both immediate needs and long-term systemic ones. To succeed, cabinets require leadership, commitment, community support, shared goals and metrics, dedicated staffing, and dependable funding. At Ed Redesign, we're supporting communities in developing and strengthening children's cabinets that help kids like Eduardo thrive, both in and out of school. Learn more by visiting edredesign.org.
So that's the background.
Turning back to LeVar Burton, we shifted from his mother's roots to his father's, where we confronted a blank slate. LeVar's father essentially disappeared when LeVar was 11 years.
There we go. All right, so the point here, I think, is to just kind of gather feedback, right? we've done some of this already within Reading, within those that are part of the children's cabinet. And we're in the process of rolling out a form at the resource level for each of the principals and assistant principals and student and counseling team to say, oh, I'm aware of something that this child needs. It could, and it's in a pseudo-anonymous way. I don't know if you've seen it already or not. But we're rolling it out so that we can send that form to the principals and whatnot to be able to say, we have this need. It could be something like this child has outgrown their clothes, they need new clothes, and they can't get the support they need at home or something. It could be, we need to have, they need some rental help, and they're $500 short on the rental payment this month, or whatever. It could be something, anything like that. But what we haven't heard yet is from our Boston residents. Like, METCO provides some support, but they don't provide all the support. So we'd like you to be part of the greater community in terms of solving needs and make sure that when we put resource things together, it addresses your needs as well. So be as anonymous as possible, I guess, in the way you say this, but I'd love to get feedback from anybody in the audience, even anybody else on the committee and the board here, about what you see as potential needs that can help so that families and students have a better chance of success. We want to make sure that, please, go ahead.
Does it have to go through the principal? Is there a way it can go directly to the family? I'm just thinking if a principal may not know, or someone in the school may not know that a family may be having rent problems, that's not something a child may be aware of. So is it possible the referral program can go directly to the child so that it remains anonymous, but it can get to the family?
I think it's something we can consider. Teresa, I don't know if you're still on.
I am, and I couldn't quite hear the question.
So she asked if it's possible for the form to be more broadly distributed, so it could be not just the principal that's supplying the information, but rather, potentially the parent or something else. I know we're trying to maintain some anonymity because Teresa's running it right now, right? And we want to make sure that we figure out how best to support it in the long run. And we're not obviously a social work organization, but we're trying to connect things together to make things possible. But something for us to think about, Teresa, if we can more broadly distribute it. I don't know if there's a good answer or not.
Well, I will say this, that we first of all love any and all ideas. This is a community-wide effort, and so thank you for that. And also the idea is that right now we're going to kind of do sort of a slow rollout so that we have we're thinking about, okay, schools, what's coming up at school, and then we as the cabinet will try to match needs, but some of those needs that are going to be matched by the community at large, right, through various organizations within the community. So from that perspective, the people answering the needs is the community. I do envision the form, or I should say we, eventually kind of being also available and distributed through other organizations, like maybe the Y sees needs coming up, and maybe the clergy association sees needs coming up that they can then channel back to the children's cabinet. But you raise an interesting question about, can families fill this out? So we will I'll flag that, writing that question down, and we'll discuss it through.
Okay. Any other thoughts, feedback?
I was going to say, to that point, just from being a counselor's perspective, we connect with the kids. I know my Boston families. I'm just starting to learn my Reading families. If there was a way to make it something that's like a Google referral that can just be posted on the Reading website, then they can fill it out. Then it's still partially anonymous, where it just goes directly to whoever's distributing these resources. So then, if they're not comfortable with me, I don't have to know their information. The principal doesn't have to. It's going directly to the people that are going to be helping them with whatever they may need help with.
Did you hear that, Teresa? Or is the mic so sensitive?
Yes, if I'm understanding correctly, who would report in that scenario?
Themselves. So if I need, food resources that I can go on like the Reading Public Schools, whatever, or wherever cabinet website, click on it and just click off like these are the things that I may need help with.
Yeah.
And then it would go straight to you.
Yeah.
So then you're able to
It's a great
directly
thought.
help the family instead of everybody in the school getting involved.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this kind of came from, all right, we want to think systemically or systematically about, and I think this is part of what, Tom, you're posing as a question is, what gaps are there? And so how can we think systematically about closing them? And that could be anything from like needs that aren't being met, but also like what Lavonda was saying, just accessing the resources of like social events, that you may not be aware of. Like how can we just kind of have everyone be on the same page around those types of things? And so this effort is sort of came out of a conversation about, yes, all of those things we want to do systemically, those are definitely going to take some time. What can we do right now about like things that maybe the school is aware of that we can address right now quickly? And so I do love the idea of like broadening this as well and creating it as more of a system, but there's no but. I love that idea, and so I think it's something we bring back to the cabinet and talk it through.
I think to one of the things
ideas coming.
Yeah, one of the things we've been trying to do is make sure that whatever we do is sustainable, right? I mean, one of the key things in that was, you have budget, you have people, and all this stuff. We have people, we have some budget, but not for everything under the sun, right? So we have to be practical about it as well. The group is also working on, like resource fairs for our multilingual learners and whatnot. We're working on trying to figure out if we can put together sort of a resource booklet of sorts. Like if you have this problem, this is who you go talk to, or here's a connection, or something like that, right? So that was really kind of, I want to bring it back a little bit from just that one form and just think about it on a little bit broader and about 3 or 4 more minutes from a conversation perspective. Are there some big ticket items that you would say, you know what, I know that other people have struggled with this or that, and if we had a quick way to find mental health and a quick way to find, financial help for college planning, a quick way to find financial help for buying a house, a quick way to, I'm just trying to think out loud right now, but if there's anything like that that you have experienced or feel the need is regular, we'd love to know that so we can start to pull those resources together and make sure this resource packet is not just Reading specific, but Reading Public Schools wide, so like what we're saying. Yes, please.
You have mentioned that academics is a big part of everyone's goal on the committee. What about having a mandatory math and reading program? Like I know like Brookline and Newton, I believe all their children have to attend a math and reading program during the summer to keep up with all the other kids. So what about having something like that to help get our kids to the academic levels that they need to be at?
Okay, so more than just tutoring, but actually a real structured, somewhat like our summer program for our special education program.
Absolutely.
A 5-week structured section where they're quite literally closing the gaps where necessary, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Chuck, go ahead.
I just have a question. What's the governance of the children's case? This is the first I've heard about this.
It's not the first you've heard about it because I've reported on those liaison reports a couple times. The governance of it is part of our overall goals from a committee perspective. Dr. Milichewski, Dr. Stice, Dr. Hardy, you're not. none of that would be crazy. Are you on it or?
I don't take lead, Dr. Spice does, but
Okay.
I help too.
You're not behind, yeah. So they're part of it, but Teresa and Barbara are leading it for Tom and coordinating the meetings. We've had, I think, 3 now.
Yep.
Three greater meetings. We've had a couple of minor meetings in between for the subgroups that are working on things as well. To just kind of, the first couple meetings were introduction and brainstorming, like what do we want to solve? How do we want to go about solving it? Centering on that video that we talked about in terms of how do we bring things together to enable success for a student, right? And make it easier for the family to support the student in that success. And then the second meeting was, okay, what are the 2 things we're going to focus on? Resources was one, and connectedness or being nice essentially was the other one, if I recall correctly. And
Relational aggression.
Relational aggression is that. There will be a series of, or a couple of meetings at the middle school specifically focused on that in the next couple weeks, if I recall correctly. Barbara sent out something today or yesterday. My email is like crazy. That's their immediate item, is to say how can we address relational aggression at the middle school in particular, where we're seeing it the most, and kind of hearing from parents and caregivers and guardians and whatnot about what they're seeing and hearing. But overall, it's been a quarterly meeting, and you've heard me report about it in liaison reports.
This was part of right? This was part of funding from Fred?
I don't think Craig didn't fund this.
They funding the facilitators.
The facilitators.
Yes, types for the facilitators.
Okay. So for Barbara and Teresa.
Correct.
Yeah.
I have a question to bring
Please.
it back. Are other families able to give recommendations if they know another thing? Like if I knew Ilka needed and she wouldn't say anything or she didn't want to say anything, embarrassment or however, whatever, am I able to then submit what I know that family needs?
I think that was sort of our thoughts. And so Teresa, the question is, can family A submit on behalf of family B because family B doesn't want to, or they're too afraid, or they're too proud, or I don't know what the right word is, right? And I think the answer was we didn't really care who submitted. And that's part of the reason why we kind of thought about it starting with the principals, is that somebody would somehow get something to a principal that child A needs something. It didn't have to be the parent necessarily. I think there's some interesting lines for us to figure out how to walk and navigate there, right? But I don't think we limited it necessarily to who could submit it. So, okay, I'll put a pin in the conversation there so we can keep moving with the rest of it. But from an awareness perspective, it's something we're trying to figure out and work our way through. Again, the goal is let's remove all the barriers, as many barriers as we can to a student's success. And, thank you for the engagement and feedback on that as we've gone through. One last one, sure.
When it comes to the resources that you have in place already, are they just coming from the Reading community, or are they a mixture from both?
We're trying to make sure it's a mixture from both. We've been, Willinder and I have been trading notes back and forth here. They shared a couple of the emails that are sent out to the families here, and I know that they're about to launch a new portion of the METCO website that's going to specifically have some of these resources as well. Most of what I've seen from them, though, are academic or college planning and things like that. We're trying to make ours a little bit more broad. And so part of the conversation we'll have with Willinder and team here is what other things can we say, we're looking at this, will you look at that, or do you know of people or resources in Boston that we can refer that would fit this need as well?
Okay, I have a few resources that I can share. I don't know if I should send them to Curtis.
That's a great starting point.
Because there's resources here for like food pantries, churches have that twice a week.
Perfect.
That families, anybody can actually go to Sugar ID, pick up your bag of food and bring it home.
That's exactly the kind of thing we're
And
looking
the same
for.
thing with finances, like if someone's late with their rent or need help, they have a Metro Boston grant program here, which allows anyone to apply in the state of Massachusetts, and they're willing to help. So I can provide that to
That would be awesome. So that's great. That's exactly the kind of stuff we're looking for. So that will help us fill out that resource guide. Awesome.
I missed that, but Tom, you'll catch me up?
Yes. The short story is she has a couple of resources that are very helpful and very targeted to what we've talked about in terms of food shortage and things like that. And she's going to send it to Curtis so we can have it for our collation list.
Awesome.
Okay?
So as Elise Marie has said, is also amongst a whole lot of parents there'll be other information about the resources that are available, including the resources that parents hold themselves. And that's just the thing that's on my mind, is how to tap in
to the resources that exist in families and that families can share with each other. So I'm just wondering, we at Friends of Reading METCO could follow up with Elise Marie's example, and we could ask if there are Boston parents that we're in contact with that can share some other ideas about resources they have or places they work and the knowledge that they have that can add to this resource.
As soon as she said what she said,
Yeah,
I'm over
that's
here
what
like,
Lavonda
that is what I do. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got
That's
resources
perfect.
for kids with diapers, for parents whose children need diapers. Like,
That's
I've got all types
exactly
of
why
things,
I
but-
wanted to have this conversation, to extend the reach a little bit and make sure we brought more ideas in. So that's awesome. Thank you for connecting the dots that I was failing to connect. So I appreciate that.
Take the team.
Okay, so let's move on. Ms. Callahan, you're there for the scheduling pilot update.
I'll share one thing on that too. I think that next we have a quick update from Jess, then from Sarah, then from me. I'm just going to ask our team, just because it's late, if we can just keep the updates to like a very 2 to 3 minute just headlines, and then we can let any questions that come in after too. So Jess, I know I told you 5, but if you can even save the Sarah the math pathways update.
Okay, Jess, no pressure.
Okay.
What's the
I
big
think you said
headlines?
less than 5, Tom, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Sorry, it's okay. So everybody has the presentation in their packet, and so I'm just going to do a very quick overview that there has been a scheduling committee at Reading Memorial High School for the last approximately 5 years. There were also consultants at one point as part of that, and so when I took over this year, I helped to move that work forward, and so we held a scheduling committee. And then at the end of January, beginning of February, we ran a pilot schedule for approximately 4 weeks. After that, we did a survey of students, staff, and parents and caregivers. And then from that, took the main information and feedback from the survey. I took that back to my staff as well as the district administration. And we're moving towards making a final decision about the internal schedule change that meets our goals, which is increased time on learning, increased common planning time for teachers, more equity for students in course choice, and more freedom within their schedules, as well as simplifying our daily schedule. How'd I do?
You did great. So Jess, do you mind just quickly sharing when can families expect to hear of like any potential shifts in this count on the schedule? Maybe what are some of the things that may potentially be up for shifting or looking at?
Sure. So my intention is to send out a communication about what that schedule change will look like, which will start next year, next school year, after April vacation, after spring break, so in a couple of weeks. And the major shift that we're looking for is overwhelmingly there was a 1 through 5 schedule that students and staff both very much liked, and that the benefits of that are all classes start and stop at the same time, and students and staff gave feedback that they felt like they felt less stressed, they had more time to get their homework done, and teachers felt like they were able to stay on better pacing and with their classes with schedules starting and stopping at the same time. We did try a block schedule during the pilot schedule. That was overwhelmingly, the response was that it was manageable but not preferred, and a lot of different populations of students seem to struggle with that. So that's not something we're looking at moving forward.
Perfect.
Any questions from the committee? Audience? Okay. Jess, thank you.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so we will now move on to the math pathways. Dr. Hardy.
Great. So this year we've undertaken the task of looking at the math pathways that our students take at the order that they take their math courses, starting in middle school all the way through high school, wanting to make sure that that is the strongest pathway forward and that students have options based on what their interests are and their disposition towards math. And at a committee meeting back in November, we presented a number of projects that we were going to undertake to move this work ahead. I'm excited to let you know that we held a middle school family virtual night back in March. It was pretty well attended. I think we had over 30 families that hopped on, and we also had a recording that families can continue to view. We wanted to make sure that we're really transparent and let families know how our math classes progress, if students want to accelerate at points where that can happen. And so that was a great addition. Right now in our middle schools is the point in the year where principals and teachers start to consider 6th grade students who might accelerate starting in the 7th grade. Per the work of the committee this past fall, we've decided to sort of make a larger gray area for students who might not quite meet the benchmark of what we typically would recommend for students to accelerate. And in that gray area, having more conversations with families and students and letting families be the ones that help guide the decisions versus the school having a strict cutoff. So we're excited about that. This also is, we've been refining the path also for 7th grade students who would like to accelerate in 8th grade. And we've, our math coaches have started to complete a set of modules that students can work on over the summer if they wish to accelerate in 8th grade. We have another exciting summer opportunity. So for any of our 9th graders going into 10th grade that would like to take a summer geometry class, we're going to be offering a really great class taught by one of our amazing Reading High math teachers. As of right now, we have 8 high school students signed up for that course. Another thing we're doing to really leverage that course is we took a look at all of our 8th grade students, taking a look at their score on one of our assessments, iReady. And then we'll be approaching families of our students who sort of maxed out that assessment and see if they are ready to move into geometry ahead of going into 9th grade, which would allow them to start high school taking algebra 2. So really looking to maximize the pathway for every type of math student. And one final thing, we this year got our math lab back up and running. It's going well. It's being accessed by students. As predicted, we want to look at the location of that math lab for next year. That was something we knew going in, that the ideal location wasn't available mid-year. But nonetheless, it has been really great to have that back in place. The math teachers really are appreciating having that time with their students. So more to come, but a lot of work has been underway, and we're really excited to see how this supports the math learning of our students.
Bill, on one thing, I appreciate all the work First and Saturday team have done on this. I think there's some really good things happening. They're going to open a lot of doors for students in math classrooms. So this one around the 8th grade students looking at sort of their those who are taking algebra, their scores on iReady for the kids who are kind of maxing out. So the implications are then they'll take geometry over the summer, then algebra 2 as a freshman, and then pre-calc as a sophomore, calculus as a junior, and then you're like, well, what's next? A, B, or BC, what's next? Well, it could be stats, it could be A, B, then BC calc, or it could be multivariable calculus. So it's like a path we're now designing. As I like how my head spins talking about the heads. I don't know, hear anyone make it through multivariable calculus? No, Dr. Coram did. So, but that's like kind of now the new path that we're kind of having designed to by kind of this work too. But just there's a lot of good work happening from the team to open doors for students and expand opportunities. So,
good.
So quick question, for the 7th graders looking to potentially, they've taken 7th grade math, they want to move into Algebra 1, you mentioned modules for the summer, so is that a more like clearly designed, because I feel like in the past those students were just sort of on their own to prep to
You're
advance?
exactly right. What was in place before was parents were given a packet, and here you go, like if your child wants to learn all this over the summer, however you can, and then they come in, they take a test, and if they pass, they can go into Algebra 1. If they don't, they'll go into 8th grade math. So what we'll have instead, what we're working on, it's not done yet, is modules that students would complete over a series of 4 or 5 weeks. There'll be certain assignments that have to be done. We are working to find funding so that students could check in with the math teacher once a week during that time, and that they'd have to complete the assignments in order to really access that and benefit from the check-in. And then they still would have to pass the assessment, but then they know exactly what they need to learn. We're building in assignments that they can do that give them feedback, using some like Khan Academy and different resources like that. It'll be a lot more spelled out, accessible for all families. So for families who don't have someone who's taken advanced math in recent years and may not even have the time to sit down and tutor, that this is something that students should be able to access primarily on their own, and then with that little bit of support from a teacher.
Right, it takes a lot of the onus off the parent, which
Yes.
is what I was getting at.
Yep, and it would all be virtual too, so if families are traveling or for our Boston resident students, they wouldn't need to come to Reading to access that.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? I just want to tie things together. Last year at this meeting, there was this large conversation about middle school math,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Large conversation, and I think it's great that we've made progress in just 1 year to open up a lot of those doors, so thank you again for
Is it time for finger snacks?
Yes. Okay, all right, so let's move on now. Our next topic is an update on kindergarten enrollment.
Yep, this should be really quick too. Here's what you need to know about kindergarten enrollment. We had 220 students enrolled back in April, back end of middle of March. We're now up to 227, which is still below what we had expected or what the census had projected. But still with that, with 227, we're going to continue to try to find students throughout the summer. We think we'll get closer to that 262 of what the census projected. The big shift for us now is going to be we are going to make a change at Killam, which the Killam staff is aware of. We had projected originally 4 kindergarten classes at Killam, but there's only currently 45 kindergarten students registered. That would be class sizes of about 11. Doesn't make sense. Killam also is like a bubble year this year, so we're going to move one of those kindergarten teacher slots up to 5th grade, and then right now that'll be 3 kindergarten classrooms at Killam, which would still be 15, 15, and 15 kids. They're still pretty small classes too. So that's the only adjustment at this point. We'll continue to monitor the numbers. We know a lot of kids come in over the summer, and then we'll just sort of make other adjustments if we have to as things move forward. You know anyone who hasn't registered yet for kindergarten, please spread the word.
So my immediate question, I'm looking at
Birch Meadow. I knew you were going to go there. So Birch Meadow currently projected, we have 36 kids. And that's split across right now 3 classrooms, 12, 12, and 12. You could obviously, you don't need multivariable calculus to know that would bring us, 18 and 18 split, which is still a manageable number. We just think it's too early to consolidate down at this point. A lot of students do come in over the summer. That is a number that we are watching. I will share the other number we're watching is JE, which the class sizes right now are 20, 21, and 21, which are really close like that threshold. So might there have to be some play there? We'll see. But again, we've seen so much movement over the summer that we think it's too early to make any other decisions besides just moving that 1 Killam class.
Guidance has always been 18 to 22
Yeah.
for kindergarten and K1 and 2 actually. So yeah, that's something to watch. I guess 12 in a classroom is great, but it may actually be too small for the social
Correct.
group and whatnot as well. So.
Correct.
Okay. Something to watch, like you said.
And
We almost always go up over the summer.
We do.
No matter where that's going to happen. And we still have school choice, and we still have, potential METCO program growth that could add members to those as well.
Correct.
And just to clarify with the Josh Reed, you still have the right to assign someone to Barrows if it was the first
We do.
child in the
We
family
do.
and
We
that
do.
fit, like you
We do.
have, or Killam, or, depending where they live,
We do.
but there might be some flexibility there.
We do. Yep.
Okay.
We still have 4 kids to go there, if we have to worry about that.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, any other questions from the committee on kindergarten?
Any kindergarten parents? No.
Listen, I'm not that far off. I've got an 8th grader and a 1st grader.
Okay, yeah, but oh my goodness.
I'm with you, Tiffany.
Okay, let's move on to another topic that could be quick and to the point here. Dr. Milczewski, the last day of school.
Yes. Isn't that nice? We're talking about last day of school. So we're going to vote on the last day of school, which if you look in the packet right now lands on June 14th. So the committee has to vote on that being the last day of school. Please, Tom said the other day, please cooperate and act like spring now. So yeah, we're going to vote on June 14th as the last day of school.
There's got to be a motion first, and Dr. Milczewski can't make the motion.
Motion to approve June 14th as the last day of school.
Second. There you go. There's a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? All opposed? And that passes 4-0. All right. Thank you. And JLMCs, the Joint Labor Management Committees. Dr. Milchewski, can you give the background here
Sure.
for the committee?
So we just completed negotiations with all of our 5 bargaining units over the past couple of months. All of them expired at the end of this year. So there are a couple that require like joint labor management committee, which are just for us to like work out a specific issue or thing or like or a dilemma or a challenge for us. So on these are teams that involve like both representation from the union, representation from the administration, and then also ideally one school committee rep to join to. So tonight we asked for support from the school committee and school committee rep on 4 joint labor management committees. I think they're all pretty light lift. I think that we'll be able to get them off the ground and running pretty quick. One is around the elementary breakfast program. So next year we're required to serve breakfast in all of our schools. I know Killam we started recently, which has been a big hit. But next year we'll move to all of our schools. So this is an opportunity for someone to help us to work out what the mechanics of that should look like with both the cafeteria, Reading Cafeteria Employees Union and our union, and the school committee. The second one is around working with our paraeducators union around sick leave and leaves without pay. The next one is with the Reading Teachers Association, working with the school nurses, looking around like specific issues that may pop up around, contractual language and anything else that may be nurse specific. And then the last is with the CAF employees around any overtime procedures. So tonight we're hoping to get a representative to serve on each of those committees outlined.
Chuck?
I'll do the overtime.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll do the breakfast club.
Okay.
This is easy.
I'll do whatever you need.
All right, I'll give you nurses.
Okay.
Since the para one I'm pretty tightly into it.
There you go.
Okay.
Look
All
at
right.
us go.
What's that? Look at us go.
Wow.
So appointed. There's no motion necessary there, actually. The chair gets to appoint. Makes it easy. Last topic on the agenda is fees, athletics and fee rent and facility rental. Derek, did I lose Zoom? Let me see if I have it over here. Derek is still there, but he's like, where is everybody? Tom lost sound. All right, let me just join my computer and I'll take it here. Derek, we seem to have lost.
Did a timeout, 2 hours?
Yeah, maybe. We seem to have lost up top. So you're on my computer now, and I think most people can hear you. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and give us the update with regards to the fees and what you're asking for?
Okay, yes, thank you very much. So, as you're aware, the district's been reviewing these all fee-based programs and tuition rates throughout the district. So the couple that are included in your packet tonight have to do with athletics, drama, and band fees. And so these fees are collected in order to support the activities of the teams at RMHS. And so the revenue received from these user fees allows the school to maintain high-quality programs and maintain the present level of advisors and coaches. So the first set for athletics, band, and drama have been in place since the 2018 school year. And the reevaluation of the fees was born out of necessity, really, because there have been increases in both service and material costs. And so the offerings are more expensive, right? So it's included things like membership association fees, facility rental fees like Burbank Ice and Boston University, officials, transportation equipment, and so on. The second set in your packet has to do with facilities, the use of facilities, the rental fees. Would you like to tackle one at a time, or should I give them both to you?
Let's tackle the first one first. So the athletic fees. So unfortunately we can't share it up there, but just so everybody hears it, I'll restate what he said. The high school fee is going to go from $325 to $340 per season. The high school family cap will go from, for an individual child, $750 to $800. For a whole family, so if there's multiple children, from $950 to $1,000. So each of those is $50 increase. The band fee will go from $200 to $210. The band high school caps for single child $475 to $485, $10. For a family, $750 to $760, also $10. The drama high school crew fee from $75 to $80. The drama high school cast or lead tech fee from $150 to $160. And the family caps for drama from 375 to 385, and for the family from 550 to 560 for those 3 yards. I would say echo that we have seen a lot of fee increases from our sources that feed into this, so I think this is probably what's necessary, but I'm open the floor for any feedback from the rest of the committee. Erin.
So I'm in full support of this, and I will vote for this, but I'm just gonna put another plug in that we continue to look at how much our athletics and enrichment are relying on fundraising from our families in order to pay for assistant coaches and assistants overall. I still think there are too many hidden costs for families to participate in these programs. So we don't have enough time to make that decision now, but I just want to say that out loud, that I hope we will continue to look at that, because I do think there's significant burden put on families that isn't even factored into these fees.
One thing I'll counter on that, I've been thinking about that for a little bit, is that many of those parent organization dues are technically optional. Your child can't participate without that. If we raise these fees, the optionality disappears. So that's something for us to think about, right? Those parent fundraising organizations, yes, there's a lot of hidden stuff, there's a lot of fundraising that happens there. Absolutely, I understand, been there, been part of that. But at the same time, this is like the participation fee, and I want to be careful about how we separate raising a participation fee versus raising an optional fee, right? Where people might be able to afford the optional stuff, they maybe not afford the participation.
But we have a recourse for families who can't afford this to not have to pay it. We have a recourse for that. There is so much social pressure to pay the fees to participate that people know who doesn't pay. I don't know. I just think, and there's the buying the clothes. You don't want your kid to be the one who doesn't have the team jacket because you couldn't afford it. There's just so much that we pay for.
Chuck, go ahead.
But that's a discussion that has to be had with the coaches, because that's not anything, the coaches are going to the parent groups and saying, I need another assistant or whatever, and then they're going to the parents and saying, we gotta, pay for this other coach. So that starts with the athletic director or the extracurricular director and the coaches, that they need to be part of that discussion, because they need to put their foot down and say, we're not, you gotta work with the coaches that we can afford to pay through the athletic group, and not go to the parents to pay for another coach, a hitting coach, or whatever, depends on.
Carla, hold on a second.
I would say that the assistant coaches is a portion of that fee, but going to the banquet and getting pizza on a late night that the kids are at games, and buying part of the uniforms for that, and buying senior gifts, there's a lot of unnecessary costs there.
That's driven by the parents, though. That's not
I
us.
get it, but maybe that, and it's we did that last year, we did it this, maybe that is a discussion that comes, that needs to be had from the athletic department.
It's a bigger discussion.
To set it.
It's a bigger discussion, so.
Yeah.
I think we'll put a pin in it. You started by saying this is too big for now, and then I opened up the can, so I'm gonna close the can. Right?
I'm acknowledging it's a much bigger conversation, but it had to be said.
Okay, so let's start with the motion for this particular portion, then we'll go to the next section.
Can I just ask one other question?
Let me get the motion, then you can ask it after the motion. Go ahead.
Okay. Motion to approve the, what do we call it, athletic and drama and band fees for fiscal year 25.
Second by Carl. Okay, further discussion. Chuck.
So, I know we already talked about, but when is this gonna take effect in our next budget? Not the one that we're getting going to town meeting, but it's gonna be in
This will take place, so can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
I can,
Yes. We can hear you.
Yeah, so this is intended to take place with the new fiscal year, in fiscal year 25, so in fall.
All right, so, okay, thanks.
Okay? All right, any further questions or comments? All right, all in favor? All opposed? All right, it passes 4-0. All right, Derek, one more from you?
Yeah, and the last one is, the last one this evening is use of facilities rental fees. And so this, of course, was done in consultation with our facilities department. These particular fees have been in place since 2018. Of course, since then, the costs have increased with custodial personnel, utilities, maintenance, water, things like floor refinishing and wear and tear on equipment are all things that need to be accounted for. And so, we wish to maintain a efficient, clean, safe, attractive, inviting environment. So, addressing these fees is part of it. And so there you'll see the fee schedule in front of you. I've differentiated between fiscal year 24 and 25, so what we were charging and what we would charge for fiscal year 25. You'll see it's divided into 3 categories. So there's the Reading nonprofit category, the Reading for-profit and out-of-town nonprofit is the second category, and the third category is out-of-town for-profit.
Okay, this one's much more extensive in terms of all the different fees for all the different locations, types of facilities, auditoriums versus gym versus cafeteria versus multi-purpose, etc. And different classifications of user for it as well. Some of them are $13, $15, so there's some pretty significant increases. But again, this is for facilities that need to be maintained. We have increased costs for maintaining these. Derek, did you say when the last time we updated facilities fees was?
It was 2018 was the last time, so it's been 5 years. So of course there have been significant labor increases, which you'll see reflected at the bottom of the table, second to last, just about technology staff fees.
Okay. Okay.
So we couldn't continue to run, so it doesn't make sense to run the rentals when the personnel are costing you more than the rental fee that you're drawing, like it's already a loss. So we're just looking at we're not going to make a profit, but just looking to close the gap.
Okay. Okay. Let's start with a motion, then we'll start with discussion.
Motion to approve the facility rental rates for fiscal year 25.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Chuck. Okay, any discussion?
I just have a question for Dr. Pinto. So when did we start to, so I know we did this in 2018. When did we start to get underwater on this? Is this just recently with inflation, or was this something that's been underwater for a while?
I think we just lost him. So he didn't want to answer your question.
I'm just curious.
Tom, you know the answer to that
This
question.
wasn't on our radar last year, and it sounds like we're losing money, so we need to correct that.
Yeah, I would share last year, Susan and I started looking at these and we realized that we were, behind and we were actually losing money on some of these, but it was a little bit too late to adjust. So I think in that transition from Susan to Derek started picking it up like late fall, and I think you made a point in the last meeting, it would be ideal to have these sort of looked at sort of during the budget process, and I think that that's something we can commit to next year, as revisiting rates earlier on.
I think especially with the athletic fee,
I
you
agree.
opened the door, so, I mean, we should have had input from parents and coaches and stuff to raise, and, I mean, I'll do it, I know we have to move on and do it, but I'll just disagree with the cycle.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with your disagree. I think it should have been earlier. I agree. So we can commit to us doing that earlier next year.
Carla, go ahead.
And some of these seem so low, like for bathroom rental fee, $20 to $23. You're not even paying for toilet paper at that point.
No.
You're not even paying for personal cleaning.
And renting classrooms from $5.
Derek, I think there was some conversation, or Chuck's original question when we lost you was around when did we start going? Yeah, exactly.
All right, you heard.
Yeah, and so Tom answered that on your behalf, and then we were just the disagreement or agreement was about when do we do the fee review? It's after budget review, and now we're coming back to fee review. Is that out of order? And I think we agree it is, but it's a matter of where we were at the time and your onboarding and all that kind of fun stuff and the transition that we've gone through. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So there's a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? And it passes. And that is the end of our agenda. So I need one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you, Dr. Fenton.
Motion from Aaron, seconded by Carla. Not debatable. All in favor? All opposed? And we are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And apparently we need a picture.